toll free.
You're listening to Screen Break with Martin Kelner and Will Buckley.
Hello and welcome to Screen Break. This is where two of Britain's self-styled top journalists talk about stuff we've been watching on the screen. I've been watching a few movies, and my very special second banana, Will Buckley.
I thought I'd been promoted.
Well, you more or less had. My co-host, Will Buckley, has been watching the Ryder Cup. So, brilliant, triumph, fantastic. I watched some of the key moments, but, you know, I'm not a golfer. You're a big golf fan, are you not?
No, I wouldn't say a huge golf. I'm a huge Ryder Cup fan. Don't you love... I mean, it's got a brilliant format.
Well, clearly it has, because the players seem to enjoy it and seem to be unbelievably passionate about it, a sort of passion you don't normally get with golf. So it obviously is a brilliant format, which you can tell me more about and why it's so brilliant.
Well, it's very clever because the 16 points are awarded over the first 2 days. And even when a team like Europe storms it, there's still jeopardy on the last day because 12 points are awarded pretty quickly, all in one afternoon. So it chops and changes around. And it's probably just about the right amount of golf players to have on a course to be able to watch each shot. So there's action going on all the time.
Right. And for people like me who don't watch a lot of golf, it works quite well because you can watch key moments. There's always somebody going for a putt somewhere or other. Whereas, you know, I remember being brought up with golf on the BBC, and you could, for a start, you couldn't work out where the ball was.
You couldn't see the ball. That's sort of irrelevant.
Yeah, it's very relevant, that, isn't it? But as you know, as a TV spectacle, it was useless. I presume you were watching it on Sky, or were you watching the highlights on the BBC?
No, I was watching it on Sky, and it was. The other thing is, it's Europe against America, and the Americans take golf incredibly seriously.
Yeah.
You know, it's the president's game. I think that the last president not to play golf was Jimmy Carter. I think, was it George Bush Jr.? I think he declared war on Iraq from the first tee at Kennebunkport. Right. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are invading Iraq. Now watch this drive." Boom. And did, to be fair to him, put it straight down the middle of the fairway. And they do think that they are better at golf than everyone else. And for a long time, when it was the US v Britain and Ireland, it was not really a contest, okay?
Yeah.
But then Tony Jacklin comes along, and Jacklin wanted to take on the Americans. Jacklin was the first European golfer to go to America, won the US Open by 7 shots, but then him and Tom Weiskopf started drinking quite a lot. I mean, no, not drinking. Weiskopf had a wonderful hangover cure. Yeah, that's not what you expected to hear.
No, what was his hangover cure?
He said a cheeseburger, the bread soaks up the alcohol, and the greasier the better, because the grease replaces the alcohol. I'd never thought of that before. It's possible.
Yeah, it'd be quite easily to find in America. A greasy cheeseburger is one of the, there's a lot of stuff very hard to find in America, like vegetables and things like that. But a greasy cheeseburger, no problem at all.
Exactly.
No.
So, and then Seve comes along, and Seve didn't like the Americans because the Americans used to call him Steve, which pissed him off, quite rightly.
Yeah.
And the Americans didn't like Seve because he was the natural heir to Arnold Palmer, yeah? But instead of coming from Miami, he came from northern Spain. So that upset their order of things, that they were the greatest golfers.
Yeah.
And then things started getting tasty. What did you make of the hooliganism?
Well, I was going to ask you that. I mean, this passion, was that the reason for all the swearing? I thought it was amusing that they did apologise for Rory telling the crowd to go fuck themselves. Or it was something similar to that, wasn't it?
He did tell them that, yeah,
yes.
Fair enough.
And the 4-letter, because usually they apologise in the football, apologies if you heard anything, and you've never heard anything, because of the noise of a crowd, but you could quite clearly hear Rory McIlroy using our best known and most loved 4-letter word. But pointless
Is it
apologising.
our most loved 4-letter word?
Well, there is another four-letter word that people like to use more than ever these days. Have you noticed that? The four-letter word that we don't use on this podcast, occasionally we do, but we used it when we were talking about Keir Starmer, and we were debating about the fact that people were saying he was a cunt, and we thought that's a little bit strong these days. Do you know what I mean?
I think if this is in your head. I don't think we've ever had this conversation, Martin.
Well, maybe
you're dreaming in podcasts.
I may have had this conversation myself, because don't forget, I do a podcast where it's just me. And
that must be fantastic.
Yeah, well,
getting rid of the chaff. No second bananas.
No second bananas. I'm my own second banana. I did get a text this week from somebody complaining not so much about me on the podcast, but my co-presenter, who is also me. So I had a sort of conversation with myself on that. But the thing about golf is that you either love it, or you're a sort of, I don't hate golf. I just can't see. I'm a bit like Jerry Seinfeld about golf when people say, "Oh, marvelous!" Think how difficult it is to get that little ball in that hole. And he said, "Well, it's also difficult to spit a Tic Tac into a cardboard box, but nobody bothers, televising that." And
might make a. I can see you pitching that one, Martin.
Yes, so
tic-tac-toe, you call it. Tic-tac-box, tic-tac. Yeah,
we could do
something
it.
in that.
We could do it. So you watched it. Were you sort of imprisoned on your sofa watching that all weekend?
I'm not imprisoned on my sofa.
No.
Well, did you? What kind of sofa setup do you have in Wakefield? I know you're near Wakefield Prison, but
we're near the prison, but slightly more comfortable digs, I would have said. I actually, if you want to go onto YouTube, you will find Martin Kelner in Wakefield. I was out filming yesterday. We filmed,
were you?
Yes, because we were drawing our competition to see who's going to win a copy of my not quite long-listed book in our quarterly draw for outstanding achievement in the field of excellence. And so we decided to draw it in King Shawarma, which is the best shawarma house probably in Britain, but certainly in the north of England. And we held
is
our
that the
draw
curry
there.
house where we got into a bit of a ruckus?
No, that was Red Chili. That's gone now, I think.
Right.
It's something else.
Okay.
I think it's a Kurdistani restaurant now, which is interesting because they do, if you look on their menu for breakfast, it's got two options for breakfast. One is liver. It just says liver. It doesn't say what the liver's come from, whose liver it is. And the other option is, which I suspect is a big, if you're a Kurdistani, you probably know what a liver breakfast consists of. I'm going to have that one morning. And another one just says chickpeas. So very useful if you're...
Can you have liver and chickpeas?
I suspect you might. It might be one of those arguments, such as Jack Nicholson had in 5 Easy Pieces, or Ricky Gervais did in The Office, where you argue, well, you've got to have the liver separately from the chickpeas. No, I want part liver, part chickpeas. So I probably would need my Kurdistani phrase book to.
But do you think so? The Americans who are behaving appallingly are paid $750 for a ticket.
My God,
that's how. And Michelob, which is not a great beer, was $16 for probably a low alcohol Michelob. But so these are quite wealthy hooligans. But were they even hooligans? If it's sort of slightly hypocritical of me to say, but if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing properly. Yeah, if you're going to be hooligans, do it properly, don't you think? I quite wanted Shane Lowry just to go into the crowd and lamp someone.
Yeah. Well, that would have been extra entertainment for your Sky dollar. But I don't know about the hooligans. Rich hooligans are probably more annoying than poorer hooligans. You can't blame society, can you? This man has so much money and privilege. Of course he's going to behave like a hooligan.
But quite a lot of the Chelsea hooligans used to work in insurance. Of course they did.
Yes.
And live in quite nice places just on the outskirts of London.
That's right.
I don't think hooliganism's a class thing. I was at Brookline when it last kicked off. When it
yes,
started.
a big one. Yes, yeah.
when the US had this comeback, I've never been so infuriated at a sports event. They were all giving, Monty was their hate guy there, yeah?
Yeah.
And they used to call him Mrs. Doubtfire. Hey, Monty, you wearing a sports bra? This is people who were 30 stone themselves,
I know.
This was back in the last millennium when 30 stone wasn't the average weight for an American. They were real tubsters among the tubby country.
Yes.
And they were giving Monty all this stick, and Ben Crenshaw was talking about God being on their side, which got everyone's craw a bit, and then the Americans all danced on the 17th green, and the Europeans, the way they took the moral high ground was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the Americans didn't like that at all.
No, I suppose the Ryder Cup is a good excuse to have it. I can remember yourself and other journalists fulminating about the behaviour of the Americans, after Brookline. And it is a good opportunity because it's always just there. We always want to have a go at the Americans. I mean, now with Trump, and especially at the moment, we're blowing smoke up Trump's arse constantly, and the rest of us are looking at it and saying, he's a big overgrown baby. Why are we pandering to Trump all the time? The Ryder Cup gives you a chance to think, well, we can't directly have a go at Trump because of the tariffs. We need him because of the tariffs and all that, and the fact that he's going to bring peace to the whole world, apparently. So we need him for all that. So it does give us a chance, doesn't it, to have a go at the Americans? And
needless to say, of course, Trump did show up at the Ryder Cup.
Yes, he did at the start. Yeah. I saw him. Was he there for the whole thing? Yeah, but,
no, he just for half of it, just to meet his great mate Bryson DeChambeau. Oh, see, the Americans, they are.
Yeah, let's have a go at the Americans. Come on, Will. Don't hold back.
Okay, the golfers, right?
Yeah.
To say they're right wing, yeah, is.
Whereas over here, of course, they're all they're all in Jeremy Corbyn's new party. All the golfers. I mean, it's the same over here, isn't it? It was a class thing over here. It's a race thing as well. We all remember the jokes about Tiger Woods. Robin Williams' line. I say we all remember it. I've forgotten it. What was Robin Williams' line about Tiger Woods?
Robin or Robbie Williams?
Robin Williams. I don't think Robbie Williams has got any great witticisms. Yes, Robin Williams had a brilliant line about the sort of racist element of golf, if you like. It was a line about Tiger Woods, and it's unforgettable, except that I've forgotten it.
There you go. Yes. But, I mean, there was quite a lot of... I remember going to courses in the south of America, and the fans would go, "We call him Tigger because it rhymes with."
Yeah, of course they would. And of course, Jews couldn't join a golf club in this country. Even Jews were banned till probably the late 60s, I suspect.
Maybe a bit later.
Maybe even later than that. And never entirely welcome, I don't think. There is a Jewish joke I can remember about.
Oh, good, at last. The memory, the fug rises.
Yeah, indeed. About a Jew trying to get a membership at a golf course, and he changed his name to Reginald Fotherington Smythe. Puts down, and they say to him, Reginald Fotherington, what do you do? I'm a banker. I work in one of England's most prestigious banks and everything. And which school do you go to? I went to Eton, and then I was at Oxford, etc., etc. And they go running through all these and said, "What about your family?" He said, "Oh, nothing to worry about there. They're all goyim."
Very good. How was he spelling Fotherington Smythe?
Fother, and then something.
Not with the double F at the front?
I would have thought almost exclusively with a double F at the front.
And the Smythe was presumably Smythe.
I would hope so. Is that all you have to say on the Ryder Cup? Because if it is, I can tell you what I've been watching this weekend.
I was just going to say, if you wanted a team of Europeans finest hooligans to teach those rich college boys a lesson, which clubs would you select from?
It'd be your Chelsea boys. It would have to totally
West Ham.
Be
No, well, but you're going to have, it's European. You're going to have Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, aren't you?
You certainly are.
You can have and which Italians would you have? Who are is it Lazio or Rome.
Well, it would be a Rome club, wouldn't it? I suppose. Well, you'd have Juventus, the cheering people. For your working class hooligans, they're car mate. They make the Fiats, don't they? So
Marseille, you want Marseille there?
Yeah. You could get a good team if you maybe
Panathinaikos, maybe. I've got some Greeks. You've got to. Oh, what about the Serb Red Star? What was that whole civil war that kicked off in Arkan or whatever? Yeah, you get a pretty strong team.
I think you would.
And then you see it makes the whole event really exciting because you've got your foursomes and your four balls, right?
Yes.
So who do you play together? You can't have Galatasaray and Fenerbahce playing together because they beat each other up. So you'd have to be quite crafty.
Yeah, well, there's a little game. There's another. To add to the 7 or 8 TV shows that we're pitching at the moment, Will.
Yeah.
There's another
live hooligan, the Ryder Cup of hooliganism.
The Ryder Cup of hooliganism. Now, let me tell you, this is something that's almost as unlikely as the Ryder Cup of hooliganism.
I'm pitching that this afternoon.
Yeah, you go ahead. Let's see.
I'll keep you posted. You can be my second banana.
Thank you.
You can be. Who can you be? I'll be Peter Alice, I think.
Yes.
Nice, gentle commentary.
Do you miss him?
Oh,
do you miss Peter Alice? I mean, there's an example. I mean, everybody said he was classist and racist, etc., etc.
But I do miss him.
Different times, but he was.
And I was very rude about him in print, so I feel slightly, occasionally you feel a bit guilty.
I think I was rather kind to him in print.
Were you?
Yeah. Well, not being, it was sort of
Were you always kind to everyone? You were short of friends.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. Well, I've always been too kind to people. Yeah. I'll tell you what I watched, and I was going to mention something that's as unlikely as a Ryder Cup of hooliganism being accepted by one of the major TV companies.
They're quite short of ideas at the moment. Have you watched telly?
Yeah, well, you might be right. I've watched telly. I was watching Talking Pictures TV. They had a film called Pickup Alley. And I thought, that sounds interesting. 1957, black and white.
Right. Yeah.
And it was...
You probably watched it in your 30s then.
I may have queued up outside the local Gaumont. Yeah, you weren't born till the 60s, were you? But
No, I wasn't.
I was alive in 1957, but I wasn't watching movies about where they were. It was sort of like a precursor of the French Connection, in that they were trying to beat a drug cartel. And it's
in the 50s?
In the 50s, yeah, very much so. A lot of mentions of, you didn't think there were many drug references in movies in the 50s, but this was full of it. I'll read you a contemporary review said the film boasted it was filmed in London, Paris, Naples, Rome and New York, but it looks as though they forgot to take the script with them. It was garbage. Victor Mature was the star of the movie. But the most unexpected thing, I was reading the reviews afterwards, it had the part of the nightclub singer, because you always had to, in those movies in the 50s, black and white films about, Sid James was in this movie. Sid James playing a straight part. He played a barman in the
in Rome, Naples, New York, London. Oh, he's a much travelled barman.
In Soho, when it was, Soho was Soho. So they're in this smoky nightclub, and the nightclub singer is Yana. Are you familiar with Yana and her work?
No, I'm not. No.
Well, Yana was, in those days, they used to say she was well known for her plunging necklines.
Okay.
If you were blonde and had tits, you were sort of well known for plunging necklines and the various things they taught her. Anyway, she was a nightclub singer, blonde, described by one American critic actually as the possibility to be the British Marilyn Monroe. She had a residence, I think, at the Pigalle restaurant in Piccadilly. The Pigalle restaurant, Piccadilly. But her real name was Pamela Gard, and she was from Billericay in Essex. Her PR people changed her birthplace to somewhere like Mayfair. They thought, Billericay, we can't have a blonde temptress from Billericay. And she did a show on telly. She was on telly 55 to 60 doing the Yana show, which was one of those, licence things with a couple of...
Was she? Did you have posters of her on your wall, Martin?
I'm just not quite old enough to have done national service, but certainly...
Martin Kelner in the army. You can see the movie now.
And certainly, if I had been posted to North Korea or somewhere...
North Korea, that would have been a tough posting. On your own. You're not that unpopular.
Well, what am I talking about? It was the Korean War, wasn't it, in the 50s? We posted people to Korea. I'm sure we did.
Maybe
you're national service, yeah, I think. Or maybe to Palestine in those days.
Because North Korea, Kim Jong-il has got the greatest round of golf ever played.
Yes.
He went round in 31.
Yes. Anyway,
there's another thing you could do.
There's another thing I could do, indeed.
Another pitch. I'm pitching ideas for fun here, yeah?
It's unbelievable. So a
president's Ryder Cup.
A president's Ryder
The
Cup.
world v America. So you've got Trump, Clinton, Obama.
See,
Bush.
they've got more of a team than we have.
No, because we've got Kim Jong-il who's going to go around in 31. The security, what a headache that would be.
Yeah, North Korea suddenly become a part of Europe. So
I said it was against the rest of the world. Okay?
The rest of the world, yes, you did. You did at first.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me tell you the unlikely thing. It was, it was a pretty much the sort of film you'd expect in 1957.
Yeah.
But what the unlikely thing was, I was reading up on the movie, and Yana was said to have had an affair with another big British film star of the 1950s. She was said to have had an affair with George Formby. Hey, it's turned out nice again.
Did you watch that film? Tell us interminably about it, just so you could do your George Formby impersonation. You could have cut to the chase there, Mark.
Yes, I could have just gone in with it. No, I couldn't believe it. I didn't. And the amazing thing about this affair that George Formby had with Yana, she's described in this Wikipedia piece as blatantly lesbian. So not just lesbian, blatantly lesbian, which is it's not an adjective I've ever heard, with the word lesbian. Blatantly lesbian. People say openly lesbian, don't they? But
I think you've got to be careful with what adverbs you put in front of lesbian, or you'll get into trouble with the TERF. So I'm very confused on all that. But
yes, blatantly lesbian. She was 3 times married to men, despite being described as blatantly lesbian. But at the time, she had a huge gay following, and a lot of stuff of the 50s were forgotten, and it's fascinating. By 1960, about or thereabouts, her career was finished. That was it. She was gone. Yeah. It wasn't the internet things. There was nothing like, now she would have gone into...
You must tell us more.
I can tell you something. By the 1980s, she was working in Boots the Chemist in Marylebone High Street. Now, that is a branch of Boots the Chemist. I went in there for some eye drops.
Looking for blatant lesbians.
to get some eye drops. I blatantly went into Boots on Marylebone High Street, Boots the Chemist.
Did you do your George Formby impersonation as well?
No, I didn't. Leave it with the George. That was meant to just...
I'll leave it with George.
Yeah, don't...
But let's think. So blatantly lesbian. What surreptitiously lesbian? What kind of adverb have you said?
No, blatantly lesbian.
I know, but I'm thinking of other types.
As you said, I think I called it an adjective. It's actually, as you say, an adverb.
Yeah, words were never your strong point. That reminds me, I've got a movie pitch idea as well, yeah?
Yeah. Have I finished on... no,
I don't know.
I haven't finished on Talking Pictures TV, but I'll save it for another time because we're very busy.
Unless something very interesting happened in Boots in Marylebone High Street.
Well, I was there in unfortunately it was the 2000s before I visited
There wasn't
Boots
a blue
Chemist,
plaque.
and she'd gone. No, sadly she died at the age of 58, which... bless her.
So here's the movie pitch, Martin, because I'm on fire today.
Yeah, you're on fire. Go on.
It's called, we'll talk titles later. Pre-credits, you see Trump flying in or whatever, Air Force One is it called?
Yeah.
He lands, he comes out, he walks there, yeah? He walks up to the first tee.
Okay.
Credits, on a
So that's a
script
pre-credit sequence.
Yeah, script written by Will Buckley, and I might let you in as a second banana, Martin Kelner. We get top billing, yeah?
Right.
And here's a clue, Shane Lowry as himself.
Okay.
Because as Trump gets to the first tee, Shane is now 2 yards away from him. He takes out his free-iron, really difficult club, yeah?
Yeah.
And just, well, basically cranes it into Trump's head. Bye-bye, President.
Wow.
And there would be something very fitting about Trump dying by a golf club.
It would be.
Those that cheat at golf should suffer the maximum penalty,
Yes.
which is in this case is Shane Lowry pummeling you with his free iron.
Yeah. Interesting. I think your problem there is that you might be, and I'm actually at this point, I'm abstracting myself from this script. I don't want to be any part of it because you know that woman who got locked up for saying we should be setting fire to immigrant hotels. I think that might be counted as a hate crime. That's all I'm saying. Got to be very careful these days, Will.
Okay.
You know,
but
I'm going to keep it in. I'm not going to
because you want the old Bill knocking on my door. I think there has to be inciting someone to do something. One, I think it's long odds against Shane Lowry will be listening to this podcast, yeah?
Well,
Two, it's even longer odds against he'd still be listening at this moment after your rather long anecdote about blatantly lesbian people.
Yes.
Three, I don't think he's going to... The moment is gone.
Yes. I think... we're in the clear. There is a thing called it's a sort of verbal equivalent of a cartoon. I did this show with Jake Yap, Dora Dale, and Jake is still doing it on the internet. I would highly
funny man,
recommend
Jake.
it. Very, very funny man. It was the days when I could attract funny men to be my second banana. I'm joking, of course, but we did a thing about gypsies. And Dora Dale, of course, who was mentioned...
Travellers, yeah?
Well, we were calling them gypsies,
okay.
and that was half of the problem. So we're calling these people gypsies. And basically, the character of Dora Dale that Jake played was a nonagenarian former actress, etc., etc. So when you say different times, it really was different times. And she's talking about gypsies, and she said, do you know, it was marvellous. It was marvellous in the 30s and the 40s when you were allowed to shoot gypsies. She said, it was fantastic. They had a wonderful life because it was free range. They were free range. They weren't in caravans. It was free range, and of course you could shoot them. And then the Gypsy Council complained to the BBC. This was on Radio 4 Extra, Radio 7, as they used to call it. And
Radio 7, did that even exist? How many did radio go up to? What's
seven.
The highest number of radio you've worked for?
7 was the highest. It was BBC Radio 7. It was the forerunner of 4 Extra. But anyway, so it went on there. The Gypsy Council, the guy, they're quite litigious. And he went right to the top of the BBC. But we got off because it was called... I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was something like extreme satire, which meant that it was so unlikely and so improbable that nobody could take it seriously. And I think that's the thing with your movie about Shane Lowry pummeling Trump to death. Nobody could take that serious. I mean, nobody could take you seriously, Will, or me.
I'd hate them to do so.
Yes.
But to give our listener a practical point, how much of a review do you read before you watch a movie?
Oh, not a lot. Not a lot.
But it's difficult. You want to know whether it's worth watching the movie without ruining the movie. It's a very fine line.
Well, the thing about Talking Pictures TV is that most of, they're showing mostly movies that they've got for free. If not for free, they're not going to pay huge amounts of...
Do you think they might show the Shane Lowry movie?
I think they're the only people who would, to be honest. Either them or the UK Gold +3 or something that might get at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll give you an idea of the sort of stuff they show on Talking Pictures TV. 9:05, I'm just looking down the schedule here. The Nudist Story.
You'll be watching that one.
Yes.
Is that featuring you as well, Martin?
No, it stars Shelley Martin and Brian Cobby. who I've never heard of either of them. A woman is appalled when she inherits a nudist camp, described by the critic as strangely enjoyable. So I like to watch. Strangely enjoyable. That's almost like being blatantly lesbian, isn't it? It's strangely enjoyable. Another interesting adverb there.
Sounds like your kind of movie.
Well, it's interesting. The movie dates from 1960. And that was when they were making movies called nudies, they had innocent nudism. So you had nudism from like nudist camps, and that was it. You know, it was people.
There were a disproportionate number of movies set in nudist camps, weren't there, or featuring nudist camps?
Yes, because that was the only way you could do nudity on the screen. Michael Winner. Michael Winner. Do you remember Michael Winner?
Mike Yarwood. He lives on.
Yes, Michael Winner. He started his career doing Play It Cool, I think was his first movie, which was a nudie. Basically, it was just a film done, and there was a load of them.
Okay, your what's your podium of nudie movies that you've watched?
I honestly, I've not done enough research.
Carry On Camping, that must have had a nudist camp in it. I think it did, didn't it?
Well, yeah, but did it? No, I think it just had a camping site, and there was the scene they were doing Keep Fit. There was women in bikinis there. We'd moved on from nudies by the time of Carry On Camping. It was Sid James who was not only in Carry On Camping but also in Interpol, 1957. Here's another one here. This is what I find interesting about this one. This is a 1962 movie, which is called Hands of a Stranger.
Oof.
Yeah, Hands of a Stranger. Thriller with James Stapleton. Didn't he play for Man United?
Frank Stapleton. It could have been his dad.
It could have been his dad, couldn't it? Thriller with James Stapleton. A pianist has his badly mangled hands. I don't know how they got badly mangled, but they did. Maybe it was Shane Lowry took a golf club to them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Shane's the killer with a free arm.
Yeah, a pianist has his badly mangled hands replaced with new ones, which prove to have a mind of their own.
Hands have got us. The hands is what gets us into trouble all the time.
Yeah,
hands are pesky.
Yeah, and certainly are in this. But what I like about this movie was again, I looked at the review here, and it was described as nail-biting. I thought, that's interesting. He's got his badly mangled hands. Nail-biting, ruthless and rough. Nail-biting, ruthless and rough, three of these spice skills.
Because in sort of more innocent, but in maybe worse days, sort of on the 1970s private school set.
Yeah.
What would now be called a nonce used to be called someone who suffered from wandering hand disease.
Wandering hands, yeah. Bit handsy. I mean, people do, Greg Wallace. People would be described as a little bit handsy.
Yeah, but this was for older men with boys, wandering hands disease, as if it was something.
Well, you've been through all that, haven't you?
Picked up like with shell shock in the Second World War.
Yeah, exactly. But these days we're more enlightened, aren't we? Will?
Yeah.
Even though you did go through all that stuff, and it never did you any harm, allegedly.
I'm not going there.
No, fair enough.
I wasn't titled enough or good looking enough, to be frank.
Yeah, well, you say that. Do you remember did Colin Murray ever tell you the joke about why so many Irish Catholic priests were handsy in that respect? Had wandering hands. Why were so many of these guys in Ireland? And his answer is sexy kids.
I wasn't a sexy kid. I doubt you were either.
No, not at all. And I suspect Colin Murray won't be telling that joke on Countdown. I can't see that one going down a storm in Dictionary Corner. Will, I know you have to get off. You're a busy man. God bless you.
God bless you, Martin.
I'll take the razor blade to the stuff that we don't want to put out to the public. We should do this live, actually, and then to the world. Will, bless you. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
You get back to your nudie films.
Yeah.
Have a hell of an afternoon.
Yeah,
I know what's happening in Wakefield. Okay,
and
buddy.
you too. Cheers, Will. Cheers.
You've been listening to Screen Break with Martin Kelner and Will Buckley. Leave Martin and Will a review or rating, and please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can use the hashtag ScreenBreak to talk about the show on socials, and for exclusive content, head to martinkellner.substack.com.